Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am joined today by Terri Tomlinson, and Terri is going to talk to us all about color theory for makeup artists. It's a really, really important topic and something that I think all makeup artists should learn right at the very beginning of their career. But if you aren't really sure what I'm talking about, Terri is going to give us all of the lowdown about that today. So Terri is a veteran makeup artist. She is from the United States, Texas, I do believe.
Yes.
And she is a makeup artist and educator with over 30 years in the cosmetic production and beauty industry. So hopefully Terri will tell us a little bit about some of the amazing jobs that she has worked on. But while she was teaching her students at the Makeup Training Academy in Dallas, Texas, Terri realized that there was a gap between traditional color theory and makeup. So she saw that makeup artists of all levels were struggling to grasp color theory and the importance of it in their work. So this gave Terri an amazing idea, and in June 2017, she released a one-of-a-kind tool for makeup artists and anyone who works with skin called the Fleshtone Color Wheel. It's a color wheel in browns. And Terri has taken that to the next stage and created an online course for makeup artists in color theory. So I've invited Terri today to talk to us a little bit more about color theory, why it's so important, and obviously to tell us a little bit about her upcoming online course. So Terri, thank you again so much for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about your background as a makeup artist? How did you get started and what sort of work you did or still do?
Absolutely. I got into makeup accidentally. I was in college studying history, thinking that I would be an attorney. And I didn't want to take classes one summer. I just wanted to take the summer off. And my dad said I could take the summer off if I'd get a job. And I ended up getting a job at a department store, and they put me on the Lancome counter. And I loved it. It was so exciting and glamorous. And I ended up taking off a semester to keep working for them at the time in Fort Worth. And when I went back to college and to finish up my classes, they picked me up as a freelance makeup artist. So when I graduated, I just continued working for them, and I never stopped. So the first decade of my career was spent in the retail world, and then I moved over into production in, I think, 99.
Mhm.
And most of the work I've done since then is mostly commercial print and video. That's really kind of where I found my niche. And I started educating in 2010.
Awesome. So can you tell us some of the highlights of your career as a makeup artist? What are some of the great jobs that you've worked on?
Well, since I'm in Dallas, I work with a lot of professional athletes, and I've really enjoyed that because I like sports. And American Airlines has been a really good client of mine. So for me, some of my favorite jobs are when I got to go to the airport and get like behind the scenes or down on the tarmac. Um, I've been inside some really amazing homes and stadiums and gotten to see kind of the behind the scenes, and I like that. I think that's one of my favorite parts of the job. I've also really enjoyed the jobs where I got to work with animals. I've been on 2
Mm.
shoots with elephants. Um,
Wow.
oh, it was amazing to work with these elephants and meet them. And I've done some jobs with Purina, so we had puppies and dogs all day. I really enjoy those. I think what I like most about commercial print and video is that it often puts me in places that I would never get to see otherwise. And and I like the technicality of it. Sometimes it's just about troubleshooting and trying to figure out how to make something look a certain way or how to make something show up on camera. And I think that that's very fun.
Yeah, I have to say that I agree. I mean, I do quite a bit of work in commercial print and video, a lot of lifestyle editorial. And
Mhm.
I often say that my favorite part of the job is the people that I meet. Um,
Yeah.
but you're right, I've never done a shoot with elephants. I'm so envious. That's my favorite animal.
It was really neat. It was really neat.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Did you get to touch them?
Yes. So the shoot itself, we were in kind of a barn area, and there were 2 elephants in there because the elephants did not like to be alone. And so we had the elephant we were shooting,
Mhm.
and then the companion elephant behind us, and they take up a lot of space, so it was a little unnerving. And they do whatever they want. You know, so they kind of
Yeah.
rule the shoot. But afterwards, I got to go meet the elephant, and I got to touch her, and she looked me right in the eye. It was just really neat. And the whole time I was standing there up against her face, her trunk was like all over me, like sniffing up my legs and
Wow.
around my neck and my head. It was like another creature sniffing around to see where I had food. Uh,
Yeah.
and so an elephant can look very nonchalant, but their trunk is super active and looking for food, even though they're standing still. So anyway, it was a blast. It was one of my favorite jobs.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. Gosh, that sounds really cool. Um, so obviously you've had this long career. When did you start teaching?
I started teaching in 2010, but I had done makeup education when I was in the retail world
Mhm.
for Prescriptives Cosmetics. They asked me to create a program to help develop makeup artistry skills amongst their salespeople. And so it was kind of um, this little anomaly. They just wanted to see what it would do and how it would help them become more of a makeup artist line. And so I got to do that. And then in 2010, when the recession hit us so hard, well, I guess it hit us in '09,
Mm.
I really wasn't working, and I had to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I still had passion for makeup. And at the time, you could not get professional education in Texas. And there wasn't YouTube. There wasn't,
Mm.
classes online, and there weren't people doing tutorials online and on Facebook, because that stuff just did not exist. And it just seemed like the right fit for me. So I started my program then, and then I opened my brick and mortar studio in 2014.
Awesome. Oh, I was going to ask you about prescriptives. Is that the line that used to have where they would custom blend your foundation? Do they still have that in the States?
No, it went away. Gosh, it's been a long time ago.
Mm.
It's really interesting because in my retail days, I worked for Prescriptives and Bobbi Brown the most. And I actually was one of the first Bobbi Brown employees. I think it was the sixth or seventh counter she had in the United States.
Wow.
And I opened it, and nobody knew what it was. She only had like 25 products.
Hmm.
But but I think that working for those two lines really shaped my color philosophy and the way I see color, because they both have very, very strong color philosophies. And so I know that that really shaped me as an artist as I continue to grow. And and I'm sure that it led me to the whole color theory and color wheel business, because it was already established, right? Prescriptives was color matching people when nobody else was doing that. And it was a lot of fun to work for them. I loved custom blending. It was a blast.
Yeah, I can remember that. You would go into, here in Australia, I remember prescriptives were in Mecca Cosmetica, which is a forerunner of Mecca Maxima. Well, they still have Cosmetica. So that's like one of our big makeup stores here, kind of a little bit like Sephora, but Mecca are a little bit nicer to the professional makeup artists. But I remember you could go into Cosmetica and they would have these big, and it was like going into the paint store, or the
Yeah.
pump packs, and they would have the primary colors there, as well as all of the different shades of flesh tones, and they
Mhm.
would mix up your foundation and color match you perfectly there. So it was really quite revolutionary.
It was. It really
Yeah, it's
was. It was
interesting that
ahead
it
of its time.
doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So obviously you've kind of come through those two retail lines, but talk to me a little bit more about where your particular interest in color theory and how that developed, and yeah, why that's kind of become, I guess, a bit of a specialty of yours.
Yes, it's really interesting. I didn't plan for it, but when I was building up my brick and mortar, when I first started teaching, I thought that I would teach a few classes a year. They were 2 weeks long at the time. And then I would just continue working. And as the economy got better and I was working more, I really thought that would be kind of the ratio. I'd work 80% and teach 20% of the time. And it didn't end up that way. I ended up teaching more,
Mm.
and my classes were doing really well. And I had a very small color theory kind of module in my classes. I knew I wanted to have color theory in there, but at the time there wasn't a lot of color theory being talked about. And I went to a professional makeup school in Los Angeles, and they did not teach me color theory back then because it just wasn't, it was just kind of this given. It wasn't something that was really talked about and taught. And so when I was going to open my brick and mortar, I met a few professional artists out of New York at an event, and I watched them working, and they worked with color theory kind of intentionally, and they talked about it while they worked. And I was like, this needs to be bigger. It's so impactful. And so I decided to really beef up my color theory program at Makeup Training Academy, and I got into it. And what happened was every time I taught it, I was like, yes, this is awesome. This is everything. And then my students were like, they didn't see it and feel it and get it. And I know I have, you know, a lot of experience. I've been doing makeup for a long time, and a lot of them were brand new. They'd never picked up a brush, but I couldn't convey the excitement of color theory to them the way I wanted it to be conveyed. And it got a little frustrating because I found that with some students, I was literally having them memorize what is a blue corrector, what is a red corrector, and they weren't able to see it. And I was like, they need to see it, you know, they need to see it. And so that's what really led me to creating the Flesh Tone Color Wheel, as I wanted something I could show them. So I could say, look, you know, this is what it looks like. This is what a blue corrector looks like. And since then, my career's kind of exploded in a whole new way. I'm considered a color theory expert, which I'm still not sure about, but I do love it. And I've been traveling, I'll say all over the world, but I haven't traveled all over the world yet, but I'm starting to travel globally to teach color theory. And I've worked with some brands, I've worked with some schools. I have schools using my wheels, and it's really, really exciting. So it's kind of taken me on this whole new journey of my career. And every time I teach it, I get it deeper and just use it in ways I never thought were possible.
Yeah, yeah. I know, and I really believe this, but obviously, you know, from what you've just been saying there, a lot of the artists that you were teaching didn't really get it when you were first started teaching it. Why is color theory so important for makeup artists?
Well, everything we do is about color. Every decision we make can have intention. It can have a reason behind it, and it should. It should have a reason. And I think that we get away with a lot because we can open up a palette and go, oh, look at this pretty pink. Let's put this on you. And that's just not the way the game should be played, especially when you're working in production or you're doing lifestyle, or you know, you're not trying to make a makeup, you're trying to make a person look camera ready. I mean, you know,
Yes, yeah.
color theory is huge because it really dictates everything you do, whether you use it or not. And if you use it, it makes you better. And so I think that, you know, no great artist is going to just start slapping paint on a canvas and then later say, oh, I didn't know that these two colors weren't going to look good together. You know, we have to have intention. We have to think about what we do and why we do it, because that's what the craft is about. And the craft is about having technical skill. It's about having theoretical understanding of what we do so that we can do it in all mediums.
Yeah. Would you agree that some particularly more experienced artists use color theory perhaps instinctively, like they don't actually think about it?
Oh, absolutely. And I did as well. But yes, and when you start talking about it and actively using it, it becomes an even stronger kind of part of your, kind of a tool for you. But I've shown my wheel to people who, and a very, very famous, well-known makeup artist, Academy Award-winning makeup artist, looked at my wheel, said that it was, and she cussed, effing spectacular, and then said, and you're going to have to tell me what to do with it, because she knew how impactful it was, but I had to kind of walk her through it. And then she was like, wow, yes, you know, because we're not used to looking at it. We're used to it being like in there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And to it being like in here,
yeah,
which doesn't really speak our language.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing, often I'll be, particularly when I'm working with regular people like brides or bridesmaids or whatever, and I'm mixing up the foundation and, I mean, as an artist, I always kind of custom blend, and I usually find I have to mix 3 different shades together to get the right undertone and everything. And they go, oh, and they kind of look at you a little bit quizzically,
Right.
and then I just put it on and it's right. And it is, they
Right.
go, how do you know what ones to mix together? And I'm like, oh, it's just an
Just
instinctive
know.
thing. I've been doing this for a long time.
Right.
So, and as soon as you put it on, oh, it's a little bit yellow. Okay, I've got to adjust that with a bit of pink or whatever.
Mhm.
So do you want to give us a few tips about your color wheel? You just held up the standard artist's color wheel. So can you talk to us a little bit about what makes your wheel unique and how artists should use it without giving away too much of your secret
Sure,
knowledge, of course?
sure. So here is the wheel. I'll just hold it by my face. Basically, it is a color theory in browns. And so the problem with traditional color theory is that it speaks on a scale of white to black. And it operates on that, what is called a gray scale. But we don't work on a gray scale. We work on skin, and skin is not white, skin is not black, and there's no gray there. We work on a canvas that is specifically colored. And if we can't figure out what color our skin is, then how can we apply color theory to it? And so I think a lot of makeup artists will use color theory for correction. They're like, oh, you have a blue under eye circle, and I know that orange neutralizes blue. Easy. But what we might not be doing is really thinking about what color is the skin I'm working on, and how can color theory help me choose soft natural colors, complementary colors, colors that have a better payoff. We can use color theory for all those things, but we have to be able to see it in the world of skin. And
Right.
so that's what this wheel is. It's basically a bunch of skin tones wrapped up in a color wheel so that you can apply color theory to it. And like one example, let's say, let's see if I can hold it up. Let's say I'm working on a yellow undertone skin. It shows me what that looks like. So I have references for foundation, highlight, even a bronzer, a non-colored bronzer. But I also know, okay, this skin is analogous to orange. This skin is warm. This skin is complemented by, you can see if I can't draw the line upside down, by violet. And so, and we work in neutrals. We don't work with purple eyeshadows for the most part. And true red blushes, we work in all these neutral colors. So if we know what color our neutrals are and we know what color our skin is, then we can apply color theory and know which ones are going to look the best and what kind of color payoff we get according to what we're using. It's mind-blowingly complex, simple, and just spectacular when you start really, really actively like working color theory in browns. And I get all excited about it.
Yeah. It is really interesting. So what tips would you have for someone who wants to kind of get started in playing around with color theory?
Well, I think you've got to go back to the basics and really learn the basics of color theory. You need to understand how a traditional color wheel works, what the principles of color theory are, and then how to translate that into brown. And I was doing a live class similar to this, and I used to do it once or twice a month, and I'd have a few people in it. And it was mostly people who'd bought the wheel, but they weren't sure exactly what to do with it. And since we've all been sheltered in place, I have had, each one of those classes has been full, and I've been doing 3 to 5 a week, and they're all full, and people from all over the world have been in them. And so it felt like the right time to launch my digital class. And I think that it's a great place to start because it gives you the basics of color theory and then tells you how to work it in browns and how to see it in browns and how to work the flesh tone color wheel. So I would say find a good color theory class. If you don't know of one, I have one. It officially launches on May 1st, but it's a spectacular class because it takes you from this to this in a really easy, succinct way. And you have the ability to watch it over, to do exercises. There's homework. There's discussion boards and things like that. Because for me, the more we talk it and work it and use it, the easier it gets, right?
Yeah.
It becomes second nature, like it is for you. And that's really what you want. You want it to be just another part of your toolbox.
So tell us a little bit about the class. So you've it's online and it's launching in about a week's time, I understand, or by the time this is live, it will already be launched. So it's launching on the 1st of May, I believe.
Right.
2020. Yeah.
So I kind of have my color theory spiel down, and but I wanted people to be able to access it, and I can only travel once or twice a month, and so I just felt like I wasn't reaching a lot of people. And about 6 weeks ago, I started working on a digital platform, and my goal is to get a lot of color theory classes up there that can take somebody from kind of a basic class all the way into what I would call like an expert color matcher. And so the first class is the one that's launching. It is a basic color theory class and color theory in flesh tone. And it's 4 videos. They're not very long. It's about 45 minutes to watch it all at once. But each video is a lesson. And after the lessons, there's questions you can answer. There are exercises you can do. I give you homework. And then there's also a workbook that people can purchase if they want to see the slides and work through it specifically. But I think it's a really cool class because it allows you to take what's been in my head and what kind of gets spit out in interviews like this and have it kind of forever, and really be able to hear it and learn it and know it and practice it. So I've done a soft launch and people are really responsive to it. And I think that it's such powerful information. It really is. It can only make you better as an artist to know information.
I absolutely agree.
Right?
And is it designed for, excuse me, is it designed just for artists who are just starting out, or do you think artists who have been around for a long time will get value from it as well?
I think any level of artistry will get value because it's kind of a let's visit the basics, but the way to really get from traditional color theory to color theory in browns, it takes a little bit of it kind of takes a leap of faith, and you have to really be able to see and understand color and skin. And so I think for anyone, it's going to be eye-opening and a great refresher if someone is very experienced. So yeah, all levels. And the way I have it working right now is that as you complete the course, you'll unlock free and complimentary content. So you'll unlock talks that I have with other artists. You'll unlock things about what's in a kit, hygiene. So you'll get these little like breadcrumbs of information as you move through the program. And then eventually by the end of the year, I want to have a certification program available digitally for color matching, which is, being so finely tuned into color theory and color matching that you can analyze someone's skin tone and chart them, just tell them what products look good on them, be able to kind of use the wheel to create color stories for your clients. Kind of like Color Me Beautiful in the 80s, but it's
I remember that.
I know. I think people always told me I was a spring, and
I'm a warm autumn.
Of course you are. Of course you are. So, the platform will keep growing. The classes, I'll keep adding classes as I go.
Okay, so at the moment we've got like it's kind of an introduction to color theory in flesh tone, and then you're planning to add more classes later on. And so would people need to have completed this first class to then access? Yeah, okay, so it kind of builds on one another. All right.
Yeah, that's my goal is to kind of each class will be a next step in becoming more and more of an expert in color theory in skin tone.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, how timely that you're launching this online program now, and we are all stuck at home. So yeah. Okay, so tell us, where can we find out more about the class and when it actually goes live, and how much is it going to be? Okay,
so it is currently live, but it will officially launch on May the 1st, and it can be found at makeupclassonline.com.
I'll put all those links down below in the comments.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the class is $95.
And that's US dollars?
Yes, and it will stay $95 until we're all over this COVID stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And right now the workbook is $19.99. It's a 35-page notebook or workbook that you can buy as a separate thing. Eventually it'll just all be one package and it'll be a little more expensive, but I wanted to kind of break it apart,
Mm-hmm.
um, and make it a little more affordable. The and like I said, you have unlimited viewing. There's no limit, and people can watch it a million times. And that's another thing. I had people coming back to my classes to hear me speak my, spiel again, because they wanted to remember it and they wanted to get it more deeply and hear me. And so I was like, well, now you can listen to it as many times as you want. And I think that's, for us, we have to have that visual learning. We have to hear it multiple times, but we need to see it and we need to do it. And I think that's really how we get it in our skin.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And is there, like I noticed that you were holding up the card of your color wheel there.
Yes. So this is available. I don't have any retailers in Australia right now. I don't believe. I had an artist who had some, but I don't know that she still does. So if y'all know any stores, I'd love to get a retailer in Australia.
Yeah, I do. Zoe from Makeup and Glow, I think I'll have a chat to her and I'll connect the two of you, because yeah, that's probably the number one professional makeup resource place here in Australia. Yeah,
that would be awesome, because shipping right now to Australia is this wheel's $12 and shipping to Australia is about $12.
Yeah.
But you can get it at makeup101.com, which is my shopping site,
Mm-hmm.
which is open right now. A lot of my professional retailers are not open right now. So you can get it, but shipping's a little high. So I'd love to get a retailer in Australia. But it's just a color wheel. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a laminated color wheel. But it's like your calculator. So you have to have one.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it looks fantastic. I mean, I've, have a color wheel, obviously the standard artist's color wheel, but to be able to carry that one around, I think would be really invaluable. Yeah, I'll definitely have a chat to Zoe about that.
Yes, yay, that'd be awesome.
All right. So is there anything that you want to add just before I open up for questions?
Well, I think that one of the most important things we do as makeup artists is complexion and matching our client's skin. And if nothing else, color theory can make you better at that, because there's just too many people out there who say they're makeup artists, but they have no theoretical understanding of what we do. They don't have any technical knowledge. They just place the same makeup on every face. And so I always challenge everybody to be better and do better. And one of the ways we do better is by really being able, like you were saying, Sue, to take a makeup and say it's a little yellow and being able to adjust it and really make things more perfect. And so I just challenge everyone to be curious and learn more and keep growing and keep getting better and better at what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice. All right. So for those of you who are on the Facebook Live in the mastermind, if you guys have any questions for Terri, please pop them into the comments. I will come over to the Facebook Live in just a few moments and we will answer those questions. For everyone who is watching this on YouTube or on my vlog, thank you so much for being here. I will have all of the links down below where you can obviously sign up for Terri's amazing color theory class, where you can purchase the workbook and the color wheel. That will all be in the comments box down below. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Terri's class and also on my next video.
Thank you.